Hello everybody, today I'm here to talk about Yakuza Infinite Wealth. As you may have seen by the title, this is my first Yakuza game, and after over 100 hours of time invested, I've fallen in love with this game. It's quickly become one of my favourite games of all time. I mean, not my favourite ever, as that's The Witcher 3, and I'd need a 4-hour video in order to cover that one, but from its beautiful graphics, its gorgeous world and addictive combat, well-written characters, this is a game I highly recommend to any type of gamer. Now, some may be tempted to give this game a chance, but they might worry that with this being the 8th installment, that they may be out of loop in terms of the story. And even though there may be elements of the story that would benefit from players having knowledge of previous Yakuza games, I feel that this game is so good that it deserves your attention, and that's what this video is about today. It's almost a love letter to Yakuza Infinite Wealth. In this video, I plan to do two things. First of all, to convince first-time Yakuza players to take the plunge and give the game a try. Secondly, I want to prove that Yakuza Infinite Wealth is a masterpiece. So, what is a masterpiece? Generally speaking, it's subjective. Everybody has their opinions and things that they like or dislike. I cannot give everyone's opinion, but I can give my own. A masterpiece to me is a game that goes above and beyond. It gives the player more than what they ask for. The writing and gameplay has to be enjoyable and of the highest quality, and I also need to be able to be emotionally invested into it. I want to feel happiness, joy, sadness, anxiety, shock, and awe. Man, am I dramatic when I say it out loud. But what I'm saying is that it has to leave an impression. If you keep watching, I plan to show you the best of the game and what it has to offer. So, just to cover potential spoilers, I will be discussing what content is in the game. So, for example, what minigames are available. So, if you want to find all that out for yourself, you might not want to continue. I won't tell you anything that happens in terms of completing the minigames or anything related to the storyline or character plot lines, twists, things like that. Just the general basics. Also, there will be some early story content, but most of it was shown in the trailers. I've tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but I always like to give a warning just in case. So, there's a lot to cover with this one, from the world, the story, the mini-games, and the other games. Yep, that's right, there are literally other games within this game. It's a lot to go over, but let's pack our bags and let's set off to Hawaii. Hi guys, I'm Av Gaming, and as this is my first video, I ask that you could consider liking the video or subscribing if you enjoy it. As a new channel, every like, comment or subscription would absolutely mean the world to me. I love gaming, and I've played many titles over the years. Some say that gaming isn't an art, and I strongly disagree. When it comes to escapism, value for money, emotional connection, I feel like no other art compares to gaming. Whilst other forms of art have grown slowly over time, over in the world of video games, we've had an absolute feast. Games are getting better, deeper, longer, and they're looking more beautiful than ever. Av Gaming plans to place a spotlight on all the games that deserve love, and my mission is to uncover hidden gems, highlight the best, and examine what makes these games unique and deserving of that praise. Now, back to the video. So what are Yakuza games? Yakuza is a video game franchise created, owned, and published by Sega. Each installment is typically a crime drama. The primary protagonist of the Yakuza Like a Dragon franchise is Kazuma Kiryu, who is playable in every numbered entry of the main video game series, with Ichiban Kazuga becoming the main protagonist from 2020's Like a Dragon. The first game came out in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and 3, and Sega since then have released 13 more Yakuza games. All of the Yakuza Like a Dragon games feature a mixture of combat, story, and exploration. The gameplay of the series has the player controlling Kiryu, or another character, depending on the title, in an open world where he can fight random groups of punks and gangsters, take on side missions and activities to earn experience and money, learn new moves, eat and drink at various restaurants, visit hostess and cabaret clubs, craft items, and engage in a variety of minigames. And let me tell you, as far as content goes, these games deliver. You have main quests, side quests, but there is so much to do in each game that you never run out of things to do. You'll find that on howlongtobeat.com, main stories will usually clock in at around 25 to 35 hours. But as soon as you check the stats for completing all of the activities, all of a sudden you're looking at hundreds of hours of commitment. Kazuma Kiryu was the main character for most of the games until Ichiban Kasuga was introduced in Like a Dragon. Kiryu is a legend and Infinite Wealth gives him that respect. So although I hadn't played any of the other entries, which I definitely plan on doing now, there was an air of admiration from all the characters in Infinite Wealth when it came to Kiryu that even I started to look at him in wonder, thinking like, this is the guy, this is the legend, the one who carried the series to this level of fame single-handedly. The franchise has become a commercial and critical success, and as of 2023, Sega reported that video game series Yakuza had sold a combined total of 21.3 million units in physical and digital sales since its debut. Infinite Wealth was the series' fastest selling game to date, passing 1 million units sold within its first week, which shows how far the series has come over the years. So this gives me a nice segue to talk about the combat. So prior to the previous two games, Yakuza's combat was action orientated, pressing buttons to land hits on mobsters and enemies, whilst using your environment and nearby items like bicycles to pick up and smash into your opponents. In Like a Dragon, the previous game to this one, not only did Sega decide to introduce a new protagonist, but they also introduced a new turn-based combat system. The general concept is having a party of up to 4 and then taking it in turns to attack. You can either use a regular attack, a special attack, which includes things like spells, buffs, or unique moves that use magic points. You can also use items to heal, deal damage, and recover magic points, among other things. The turn-based combat system used in Infinite Wealth is a tweaked and improved version of a similar system used in its predecessor, Like a Dragon. You can now move your characters within a range during battles. Each character will have a circle around them which shows the radius in which you can move. So for example, by approaching an environment object, you can interact with it and pick them up and deal more damage. By being close to an enemy, you can deal more damage from behind, known as a back attack, or you get a proximity bonus for being close to the enemy. You can also see where radius spells will hit, dealing damage to multiple enemies, and you can knock back enemies into walls, fellow comrades, or even onto oncoming traffic. It's an absolute blast and it's very enjoyable. It always keeps you on your toes, plotting each move ahead. You can also block attacks by pressing the defend button at just the moment an attack is landed from an enemy. This keeps you engaged and it's a lot harder than it sounds. It almost has that Dark Souls vibe as you learn certain enemy moves over time and learn exactly when to block, and it's so rewarding. It makes you feel like a right boss when you pull it off. Besides that, you have tag moves, special moves, and so much more. Returning from the previous series is an app called Poundmates, which allows you to summon NPCs that you've met on your travels who, for money, can join you in helping the battle. It all makes for such an enjoyable combat system, and it's the main concept of the game. Different party members have different skills and different classes. Classes can be changed later in the game which provide different type skills. For example, a certain class may have an electric type as an attack, which some enemies are weak to, and it can give you an advantage. Each character has their own base level and a class level, which will grow over time from experience, leading to more moves and stronger characters. Gear is your party's attire, from hats, shoes, and weapons. They have their own rating and they can be upgraded via Julie's workshop, which makes them deal even more damage or have a certain type of damage type, like fire. There's a lot more than this, but it's the general concept of Infinite Wealth's main gameplay makeup. As you progress the story, you'll fight different enemies and bosses, each that have their own unique cutscenes, which leads to really exciting experiences. So Infinite Wealth's story picks up from the end of the Like a Dragon game, in Japan, in the city of Ijincho. Ichiban Kasuga is working at Hello Job, where he attempts to help ex-Yakuza members find honest work and have a second chance at life. It appears that he generally enjoys his work and feels fulfilled. The gameplay starts slow, having you work this role for a while. It slowly introduces you to new and returning characters. For new players, although you may not know any of these characters, the game does a great job at summarizing who they are and what their relationship is like with Kasuga. It's easy to understand and you instantly feel a connection with these team members. Early on in the game, you'll go on a date, and this is when the game introduces personality traits, such as confidence, intelligence, among others. These are leveled up through a number of ways throughout the game. A year passes by, and then things really start to kick off. To avoid spoilers, let's just say that Ichiban Kasuga has his employment terminated and meets up with some old acquaintances and finds out that his mother is still alive and lives in Hawaii. We're then sent on a quest to meet her, and so we pack our bags and we set off to Hawaii. The game keeps us linear for a while, and cutscenes and combat shows us how Ichiban settles in Hawaii. As you can probably expect, it does not go to plan, but after a while things start to settle down, and then the game's beauty is displayed for us to see. Later on we see Kiryu and both Yakuza protagonists join forces. It's often said that some games are as wide as an ocean and as deep as a puddle. This term refers to how a game's world is massive in size but lacks much detail or is very base in its storytelling and content. Infinite Wealth is as wide as a lake and as deep as an ocean. The world is stunning and detailed. Every inch of the 2 maps that you can explore have many unique assets, and it's clear that so much attention was put into every part of the game. And the content? Oh my, there is so much to do. So many distractions, side quests, minigames, activities, shops, restaurants, which each exterior and interior is painted to perfection. It's a marvel in game design. You cannot walk 10 steps without having something to do. As you progress the story, more activities and side quests are introduced, and the more that you put into the game, the more that you're going to get out of it. After a few chapters, the story is split into 2 main areas, Hawaii with Ichiban and Ijincho with Kiryu. Each chapter will alternate you from one area to another. But with so much side content, this game is really designed with the idea of you taking your time. You'll have a main objective to follow in each chapter, and by continuously following this, you'll eventually move to the next chapter. I highly recommend taking your time and seeing the sights, as there's so much to offer. The game rewards exploration with a lot of content not introduced until you go out and find it. I'll discuss the side content in a moment, but just talking about the story for a moment, and wow, the cutscenes are outstanding. Characters introduced, both good and bad, are well written and unique. The story is interesting and it will have you excited to continue pushing throughout the entire game. It's a weird experience because some moments are generally quite out there in terms of wacky and playful. Then in the next scene, you'll see someone get mutilated, which no explicit content is hidden. One moment you're having a good time, riding a dolphin, the next you're a witness to unfathomable violence. The game generally made me laugh out loud a lot, and I'm British, so I have a high tolerance for laughter and allowing myself to be happy in general. I will say that in later chapters, characters will be introduced and new players to the series will not know who they are. But the game does a great job of summarizing who they are, and it's clear what their relationship is like to the protagonist. If anything, it will give you a huge drive to delve into the other Yakuza games. I can also say confidently that there is minimal grinding required. I played through the entire story and I rarely faced an enemy when I was underskilled in the story. This means you don't have to worry about taking breaks in the game where you just have to go around and beat up the same poor level 3 enemies 100 times just to progress. But of course, you're welcome to. I mean, they probably deserve it. But the story is fun, the graphics are great, and the voice acting is top notch as well. Well, except for this one bird. I'll let you have a listen.
I wonder where your mama might be. We'll find her. I'm sure of it. After we get some food, we'll keep looking, okay?
Character writing is another wondrous element of the game. Throughout the story, you'll meet new characters. Some appear nice, some appear evil, but all of them have layers and ulterior motives. All characters look unique and will leave you with a deep connection where you will generally miss them when they're off screen. The allies are strong, the main enemy encounters exceptional, but the show is stolen by our 2 protagonists. Kiryu is the long-time Yakuza series veteran, and his character comes across as cool as that sounds. He's deadly serious, completely fearless, and outstandingly loyal. He speaks calm, calculated, and he has so many badass moments. So many times before a battle, like the Thug would say something corny like, "It's time for us to take over the world, no one can stop us," and then Kiryu just responds with a, "Do you ever shut up? Let's get this over with quickly." I mean, it's just so cool. He fears nothing, and this game really does honor to his legacy in the Yakuza games. At least in my opinion, the game made me aware of the fact that this guy has done it all without the need to take the credit. He's just a cool hero, it's that simple. Our other protagonist, Ichiban Kasuga, is the ultimate optimist. He's almost childlike with his mentality and sense of humour, but deep down, there's an intelligent man. He always sees the best in people and gives energy to others. He really is the kind of person that you would want to be around. Someone who pushes you to be your best, pushes you to reach your potential, and makes you laugh all the while doing it. He's almost the complete opposite of Kiryu, but it works. He's still a hero, just a more flamboyant, energetic version. His character is the perfect counterweight to Kiryu, and it makes all the side quests and activities justified. He has a talking pet lobster, for goodness sake. When you move across the map and a side quest pops up where a crazy scientist asks you to help with some crazy experiment, in reality, most video game characters you couldn't see doing it because it's crazy and it's irrational a lot of the time. But with Kasuga, it all makes sense as he often seeks adventures. He loves helping others and he really wouldn't say no to much, to be honest. It's a pleasure to play as both characters, and a lot of games don't get their main character as good as this, let alone two of them. They both have deep beliefs as well, and they show their human side. At a certain part in the story, the game world splits into two, and our protagonists the same. Both have their own skills to level up, their own party members to get to know, and their own cities to explore, full of side quests, activities, and much more. As you wander the city, you'll see a pink heart icon which can initiate a party chat. This is where a certain member of the party will tell them a little bit about themselves. Each character has their own bond level with the protagonist, and by completing these, that level will increase. Each party member will have their own bingo card, which will have a box ticked off every time that you initiate one of these party chats. Having a row cleared will lead to a bond level increasing quicker. Upon completing a bingo card, a final optional side quest will appear where you can share a moment with the character. So how do the bond levels help? Well, let's talk about drink links. At the player's safe house, which always happens to be a pub, as is normal, right? No? Just me? Well, for every 10 levels of that bond that's earned with the party member, you can initiate a drink link. This is a fully voice-acted cutscene which unravel a unique side story for each party member. As this story continues, your party members will learn new skills, be able to do follow-up attacks, and help you in battles in other ways. The game rewards you for everything that you do in some type of way. Bonds can be increased through fighting, playing games with the party members, and giving gifts among other ways. There are also table conversations which take place when you order specific combinations at restaurants. Similarly to party chats, Kiryu will have spots in town called memories, where he can approach them to trigger a flashback. These flashbacks are from all the previous Yakuza games, which is such a nice touch by the developer. I haven't played the other games yet, but despite that, it showed me how much of a legend that Kiryu is, whilst also showing me how much content all the other Yakuza games have. The game also has side quests, more than 70 in fact, each with unique characters, storylines, voice acting, and most of them have a unique gameplay element as well. So for example, one had me delivering drinks on a tray, which changed the way that my character moved, unique to this quest. Another had me running and dodging cars down a freeway, others have you playing games, and speaking of playing games together, this leads me nicely to discuss side activities, and this is where the game really stands out and makes itself unique from other games. This game does not cut corners on any of the side, I say in quotations, content. There are two types of minigames. There's the minigame, which is as it sounds, and then there is the extra game. Yep, I coined that term myself because I just didn't feel right calling it a minigame, as these literally could pass off for standalone games by themselves. So, starting with the minigames. Aloha links. It's the Facebook of Hawaii Yakuza style. For each person you meet, by waving to them you'll unlock them as a friend and you can see their profile online. Continue saying hello to them and eventually they'll become your buddies. You can also befriend animals, but you'll need to bring them dog food, cat food, or cow food. Cow food? Well, I guess you can bring them a banana or something, but as you unlock more friends, you'll be given more rewards. It's something to do, and there are over 200 friends to unlock in total. Mismatch, a dating simulator where Ichiban has to talk to online romance interests. It's a fun distraction. You can edit your profile picture, your hobbies, likes, dislikes, and upgrade your level of membership for money. All this affects what options will appear when you search for a match. When presented with your options, upon picking someone to contact, a minigame will take place. You have to choose your dialogue options carefully, as this can impact whether the person likes you or not. After picking your response, you'll need to press buttons in certain patterns in order to deliver the message correctly. If by the end of the chat you get the person to like you enough that they'll agree to go on a date with you, this will lead you to a moment of truth. Are they the real deal, or have you been catfished? Sicko Snap. Do you remember Pokemon Snap? Well, it's here. Upon visiting one of the trams that travel around town, Ichiban will be approached by a gentleman who explains that he's here to take pictures of sickos, which are just weirdly dressed people running around the town. Just like in Pokemon Snap, you have to take pictures at the right time and the tram moves along the track and you try to get the best angles as possible. It's another funny distraction and there's many different routes you can take which vary in difficulty. Depending on your result, you'll receive points which can be traded for prizes specific to this game. I mean, in reality, if I managed to take 50 pictures of these sickos on one tram ride, if that happened in real life, I'd be looking to leave that town immediately. Can you imagine 50 of them? Half the population? How do they make money to eat? Maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit. Crazy Delivery. Yakuza's take on Crazy Taxi. In this game, you deliver food to different customers in town whilst performing, you guessed it, crazy stunts on your bicycle. The crazier the stunts performed, the more money earned for each delivery. This game's a lot of fun too, and some stunts see Ichiban flying through the air or riding up the wall of a skyscraper. It's all a bit crazy. See what I did there? But it's great fun. You also have a skill bar for your crazy level, which increases each time you play. You can also purchase unique prizes from the points that you earn here. Amazing! Vocational School. Who said video games aren't educational? In this game, Kazuga actually goes to school and completes certifications. Quizzes on different subjects from Hawaii to sports or marine life to historical knowledge. Each quiz has 5 questions, and if you can get at least 3 of them correct, you'll pass the certification, which leads to personality points increasing and more quiz options to take in the future.
Congratulations!
Congrats, dude!
Nice one!
Labyrinths. These are 2 dungeons, one in each of the areas in Hawaii and Japan, which are randomized upon entry. Each time you visit, you can work through the dungeon and fight enemies to level up your characters quickly. By completing floors in these dungeons, you can unlock points, which can be traded for prizes. But more importantly, this is a great way to grind up some levels. It levels up your party very quickly, so if you ever need to reach a higher level quickly, you can do it here, and get rewards for doing it as well. There are mini quests related to this as well. Baseball. A batting range where you can hit balls and work your way through challenges. As you pass a certain challenge, you can then take a higher difficulty and continue to progress. The pitches get harder, the requirements to pass are much more difficult, but you earn points whether you win or lose, and you can take those points and trade them in for prizes. And spoiler alert, I absolutely sucked at the baseball game. Golf. You can play one-shot golf and try to get as near to the pin as possible. Like baseball, you can work your way through levels which get progressively harder and they add more obstacles. You have to factor in the wind strength and the direction. You also have to watch out for hanging pitches which can ruin your shot completely. Collecting cans. You can help the homeless earn money by hopping on a cart and driving around town collecting cans and trash. You can also bash into other can collectors and steal their cans. Like, honestly, thinking about that, how annoyed would you be? Like, if you hired me and I started smashing all your other workers off the road, then stealing their cans and claiming them as my own, you'd be furious. But in this world, you just get all the other credit and the other guys just get, well, canned. It's a fun diversion, and like other games, you can keep increasing your challenge difficulty by passing the easier level before it. You'll earn points, which again, you can trade for unique prizes. You can also have your own level of can collecting, which will go up over time. World activities. So whilst exploring the world, there are a lot of activities that the player can take part in. There are the social links, where conversations can play out earlier, as I mentioned. There are fortunes hidden across the map that can be traded for unique prizes. Photo opportunities, where you can take pictures of landmarks and tick them off a card to earn prizes. You can also walk along the beach or swim in the ocean and collect cans, trash and old magazines, and then take them to a recycling station and again trade them for unique prizes. Not to mention shops and restaurants where you can customize your meal choices. If you manage to get the right food combination, you'll either get a stat boost or it leads to a table chat where your party members will have unique dialogue. I mean, there's always something to do at all times. Arcade games. You can visit arcades and play an array of games there, such as Spike Out, Virtua Fighter, Bass Fishing, and Claw Machines. The arcade games are full-fledged games within themselves with different stages, and they can take up quite a few hours of your time. Different machines let you choose your difficulty level, and it's a good throwback to old games, and it really adds to the experience. I mean, if you aren't playing a video game within another game, I mean, what are you really doing with your life? So besides that, we also have darts, where you can play your friends to improve your bonds. Casinos let you gamble your chips at blackjack and poker. By winning, you can work your way up the ranks and play better establishments with higher class players for bigger rewards. We also have Mahjong, which is a really fun game, something that I actually took the time to learn and found that I really enjoyed it. You can play this with your friends or opponents of varying difficulties. You have Shogi, which is Chinese chess. Here you can play ranked players. I played the easiest level 100 times and lost 100 times, but it's still an option if you can figure it out, and completing challenges will increase your intelligence level. We also have Oicho Kabu and Koi Koi, which are separate card games. The selection of side activities in this game is staggering, and I enjoy everything about it. It's amazing how detailed and different each game is. But it's not just that, it's the fact that the game rewards you for everything that you do. Most games have their own skill points which you can level up as you play. Each game gives you rewards that are unique specifically for that. It levels up your personality points and your friendship bond points. There's not a single activity that's not rewarding you in some way. Because of this, you feel like nothing is a waste of your time. It's all worth it in some type of way. As I collected cans on the beach, for example, I was able to trade them in and get an item which increased electric damage from one of my players. This made a huge difference, and it showed how it was actually worth my time to do that. But these side games are just the beginning, as why would 20 minigames be enough? Allow me to introduce you to what I call extra games because of their size. Sujimon. Do you want to be the very best? You gotta catch them all. Sujimon is a Pokemon game within this game. Whereas Pokemon are fictional creatures, Sujimon are actual real humans who are coerced into fighting for the trainer against other Sujimon. Wow, that sounds a lot worse when I say it out loud. Poor guys. But they do seem happy to be a part of it. Whilst playing through the main story, eventually you'll run into your Sujimon guide. essentially your Professor Oak. He will show you that there's an underground arena where trainers battle out their Sujimon. At this point, you get given your free starting Sujimon and you win your first battle. From here, you're informed about the Discrete Four, which is obviously a parody of the Elite Four from Pokemon. You're tasked with finding and defeating these top 4 trainers and earning your badges in order to become the very best. With your free starting Sujimon, you're taught how to catch other Sujimon and add them to your Sujidex. This game actually has 150 Sujimon scattered, which you can collect and train. Each is unique, has its own skills, special attacks, and power type. Some can evolve into other Sujimon and get stronger. So for example, Gangpunk evolves into Gang Boss, who can evolve into Gang Lord. So you have a gang of gangs. Wait a minute, who wrote this script? Oh yeah, it was me. Anyway, it's great fun. So how do battles work? Each trainer has 6 Sujimon selected with 3 starters and 3 in reserve. You can trade these out at any time. Your left place Sujimon will attack the Sujimon directly across from it and the Sujimon in the middle. The right will do the same but from their side, and then your middle Sujimon will damage all 3 of your opponents. There are 5 types of Sujimon: Grass, Fire, Frost, Dark, and Light. Each is strong and weak against other elements. So for example, Grass is weak to Fire. So if the opponent has a Grass type Sujimon in the middle, you'd want to move your Fire based Sujimon to the middle to deal maximum damage. It's fun and it's addictive, and your party will change over time as you unlock more rare Sujimon. How do you earn other Sujimons? There are a few ways. The best and most popular way is the raids, which will appear on your map. By going to a raid spot, you'll see what type of Sujimon is available. You can challenge these Sujimon to a battle with your actual real party members, and if you win, you have a chance to recruit them. Sometimes at the end of normal fights on the streets of Hawaii, a Sujimon may appear, and you can try to recruit it. To recruit a Sujimon, you use your you use your Suji gift box. There are different types, like a basic Suji gift box, a special gift box, and a very special gift box. Okay, that's not what they're called, but I forgot what they're called. It's Hyper Suji Box. Anyway, each of these increase the chances of catching the Sujimon, so you'll want to save a rare box for a rare Sujimon to increase the chances of catching them. In order to try to catch them, you have to play a minigame where you offer the gift in as best a way as possible. That's right, as my wife always says, it's the thought that counts, not the gift. Wait, why does she say that? First you try to time when the bar is at its highest, then you have to press a button as soon as possible. Assuming you've done everything well, the Sujimon should accept and be added to your collection. To level up your Sujimon, you can either battle other trainers who range in difficulty or feed them Suji Munch, which helps them level up quicker. Each Sujimon has a level that determines their core attributes and a friendship level which indicates their relation to you. They also have an S rating, which indicates their rareness and strength. You can awaken Sujimon by feeding them other Sujimon of the same type, just like in real life. Wait, what happens when you feed Sujimon to others? When I fed Fred to Ted, he disappeared. Does that mean Fred's dead because I fed him to Ted, or am I overthinking this? This increases their stats, but also leads them to evolving if they have a higher form. Your quest is to tackle the Discrete Four, but you can only take on one at a time. Your trainer rank increases as you win more battles. At first, your max level you can reach is 10, and your highest level of Sujiman is also 10. Once you reach 10, you'll be invited to your first gym, where you can go and challenge the gym leader. If you win, you can then aim to take on the next member, and your trainer level and Sujimon level will increase to 20. This pattern repeats as you continue to play. Across the map are trainers of all difficulty levels, so you can level up your Sujimon quickly. There are also gumball machines where you can spend either tickets from battle or money in order to get a random selection of Sujimon. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll get a rare Sujimon. Most of the time you'll get the same common ones. But it's great fun and it's extremely addictive. I don't really want to spoil much more than that, but there is a main story of this whole adventure as well as the discrete 4 storyline, shocks, turns, and in my opinion some of the funniest content is in this game as well. This whole adventure had me laughing my whole way through it. It's clearly a Pokemon parody, and rather than catching and fighting Pokemon, you're using real human beings. The game knows this and it's very self-aware of it, making laugh-out jokes all the time about how silly the whole thing is. It's like the game is saying to you, don't worry, you don't need to justify the existence of this whole thing, just enjoy it for what it is. It's all a bit silly, but the comedy aspect is great. Besides that though, it's a really good game. It's addictive and it's extremely fun once you know what you're doing. With 150 Sujimon, 5 gym leaders, it really is its own game within a game. Things like this are why I love this game so much. Developers don't have to do this, but they do. They go above and beyond, and it's such a great side game to have within this game. There's also a Sujimon Stadium where you can visit any point and you can fight more challenges, unlock more things. It's just a good depth of content and something that you can do to keep your Sujimon leveling up. Dondonko Island. I have saved the best for last here. First of all, this game takes some time to reach, like about 15 to 20 hours of main story content to reach. This is Animal Crossing Yakuza style. At one point in the story, you're taken to an island which has been left almost abandoned. The residents here tell you that it used to be a 5-star resort, but pirates have been dumping trash on the island, leading to its downfall and eventual closure. We meet this pirate and we're tasked with restoring the island to its former glory. Now, in most other games, a minigame is something that you play a couple of times, you get a couple of minutes of fun out of it, and then you move on, never to return. Guys, this is a mammoth game. At first, the majority of the island is full of trash and unreachable. You're tasked with clearing the starting areas and spending money to clear out the areas in order to build over them. In order to earn money, you have to complete daily tasks and collect bugs, catch fish and collect resources to sell for money. You can use your harpoon for fishing, your net for catching bugs, and then your bat is your way of breaking rocks, trash piles, trees, and this allows you to collect resources for building with. Occasionally, as you progress through the story, you'll have to fight these pirates. Fighting is a key theme throughout this entire game. It's not turn-based and it's actual live combat where you hit the enemies with your bat and dodge when they swing for you. Once an area is clear, you can place furniture and items on the land anywhere. That's right, the whole island is customizable. You can make it look as good as you want or as ridiculous as you'd like. There are hundreds of unique items that you can build, from businesses, restaurants, statues, chairs, fountains, masked Mexican taco man statues. I'll have you know that my island guests love that statue. The list is absolutely endless and you can continue to learn more over time. You'll also be given your own house, which you can decorate inside and outside and customize. You can grow your house size later, but this is your home base. Unlike Animal Crossing, each day is approximately 15 to 20 minutes in length, so things are always keeping moving. Your health bar restores each time you call it a night in your house, but resources also reappear and everything on the islands reset each day cycle. This keeps you addicted to the process as you can keep pushing forward, which differs from Animal Crossing, which is based on a real day-night cycle. Eventually, after completing objectives, you'll unlock more areas of the island. Here you can build more stuff and the pirate storyline keeps progressing. It's all very goofy, but again, it's hilarious. The game's writing does not take itself too seriously, knowing how ridiculous the whole thing is. At a certain point in the story, you'll be able to invite guests to stay on your island for a period of 3 days. They have certain needs and wants, and they have preferences on furnishing types such as pop, classic, or masked Mexican taco man statues. Seriously, that statue is what made my resort what it is today. They love it. They also have accommodation requirements and budgets that they can spend on your island. They also spend money based on their happiness. So, for example, I slapped up a taco truck right next to my well, you know what, and the guests would spend money there. This helped me earn more money to spend on things to make the island better. It's a lovely pattern, and over time you'll unlock more guests. At the end of each 3-day tour, each guest will check out and have their own satisfaction level, which goes up the more times that they stay. Eventually, and spoiler alert, you will unlock a farm area. Here you can bring your Sujimon into play. There's a workshop where you can have them build things to earn you money, a farm which produces crops you can sell, a recycling station which nets you more resources, and a training center where your Sujimon can level up. You select the task and those who will fulfill the task. For example, a certain crop may require a fire type of Sujimon, so you will place them there in order to get the gains. You can also walk around and encourage the Sujimon in order to build your bond with them. You can also stroke them, and that's not a joke. You can pet your Sujimon, which makes them happy and it increases their bond with you. They just stand in front of you, shirt off, smiling at you whilst you move your hand icon up and down their bellies. I'm not gonna lie, when I'm sitting alone in my room playing this game at 2 a.m, rubbing the bellies of grown men in order to increase their bond, I do wonder if I'm making the right choices in life. But anyway, get them patted and get your money from the farm. You'll also eventually unlock the ability to travel to other online players' islands to see what they're doing on theirs. Unlike Animal Crossing, they don't have to be online for you to visit, and you can travel anytime to their island. You'll be given mini quests, and you can even battle their Sujimon. With your crafting, every time you craft something new, your crafting level will increase, which allows you to craft more items and unlock more blueprints. It also is a requirement of the main quest. In order to clear out areas, you have to be at a certain level. I mean, this whole island game is so much fun. The amount of options for furnishings is unbelievable. There are unique characters, a whole storyline, and there's so much to do. You could honestly play this for hundreds of hours, and it's big enough to be a game within its own right. Well, I guess it is Animal Crossing. Anyway, I love this part of the game, and it's just one of the many great things about Yakuza Infinite Wealth. You can leave and come back to the island at any point of your playthrough. It picks right up where you left off. And you get to ride a dolphin there and back. How can it be any better? So what you end up having is a massive open world with great attention to detail, which is chock full of content. Great characters, fantastic and at times funny writing, and a story that keeps you hooked from start to finish. I enjoyed this game so much that I even decided to make a YouTube video on it. That being said, there are a few things that I would say that could be improved. The only constructive points that I have, things that could be improved upon, is number one, it takes a while to get going. It starts slow, and I would say some of the best content like Dondonko Island is only introduced after about 20 hours of gameplay. It's worth the wait, but I feel they could have introduced it a bit earlier. A lot of people may particularly be interested in that part, and it takes a while to get to it. I'm not saying to make it the first thing the game introduces, but 10 hours perhaps? Also, there's a lot of fighting involved. I haven't visited Hawaii or Japan, but if it was like this, you wouldn't go. I mean, you couldn't go. A lot of times you walk in the streets and there's enemies everywhere. You might just want to relax and see the sights, but nope, some gang of hoodlums have spotted you. There'll be moments where you'll just be looking at a restaurant or a shop entrance and gangs are blocking your path. The only way is through. Once you level up, the game does give you a chance to one-shot beat the gang. I understand that they want you to fight to level up, but I just don't think you need enemies lurking everywhere. Like, just put them in one bad district where I can run over and beat them up when I need to do some grinding for levels. There's no peace in this game and no shortage of idiots looking to fight with you just for having the nerve to stop in from an ice cream cone place. They always instigate it as well. It's like, chill out, bros. Another thing is that the game is very long. If you want to enjoy as much as I have, get ready for a 100-hour commitment, which if you're working full-time can be a heck of a commitment. I mean, I had to choose between my job, my wife, and this game. But then suddenly, my wife got the flu. Other people might not be so lucky. That's a joke. Maybe. So anyway, I've waffled on now for a long time about all the mini games, side games, the maps, and there's a reason for this. The game is massive in content. All of it is top quality and very detailed. The developers don't have to do this. They could have put half the minigames. They didn't need to have a Sujimon game or a separate island game, or they could have sold them as separate games or as downloadable content. We live in a world now where most big game developers are so focused on giving us as little as possible up front and just reskinning games than making us pay and download the rest of the game's content later. Look at games like FIFA. They essentially release the same game every year for full price. Or games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla that have huge maps but with no depth, where the player is given repetitive, boring tasks in order to stretch the playtime. That's not respectful of the player's time. Most developers are on this whole free-to-play model, as it's a buzzword in the industry nowadays, where they sucker players in and they sell character cosmetics for money, milking the fans that made them successful in the first place. A lot of games do this, or they don't give the player what they promise they will. Games usually have long play times but shallow experience gameplay, or short games with high quality. Then once in a while, we receive a game that does both. Gives you hours of content, does not compromise on any of the quality, and gives the player so much to do. The £60 I spent on this game feels like a steal. I can only appreciate what this game has given back to me as a player. It's got so much to do, so much content, but the main thing that matters, is it good? No, it's a masterpiece. I cannot recommend this game enough, and if you're on the fence about getting the game, don't hesitate, just give it a try. It's amazing. To all of the people who've worked on this game at Sega, you've given us one of the games of the decade, and you've gone above and beyond what is needed in order to meet the criteria of a video game. You're a dying breed, but I hope you continue to receive the success that you have been receiving. It's funny how that works, right? If you're still here now, listening to this video, I want to say thank you. This is my first YouTube video, and I've got so much to learn. If I manage to get one like, one subscriber, or even one view, one person who says they got some type of enjoyment out of this video, I'll be so happy. Thank you so much for watching, and please consider subscribing, as this is my first video and I want to continue this type of work if I even find one person who enjoys it. So, having never played any other Yakuza games, I think my next game to play would probably be one of the other ones. If anyone's watching this who's a Yakuza regular, is there anyone that you'd recommend, like a certain order to play them in? Please leave a comment if there's another game that you think I could do that you want to hear more about. I recently finished playing Octopath Traveler 2 and I was considering doing a video on that, because that's another hidden gem. Let me know in the comments what you recommend, and let me know what your thoughts were on Infinite Wealth if you have played it as well. Anyway, thank you to Sega for giving a gamer like me an experience I will never forget. These are the games I look for and the games that made me a gamer in the first place. And thank you to you, yes you watching the video. You're awesome, and I hope you have a great day today and a fine future. Av out.